State your names for the purpose of this interview.
Bruce Franklin.
Kyle Thomas.
Okay, let's begin with some older Trouble stuff. When Trouble signed to Def American, there was a producer involved, and I want to know if the producer telling you how to structure your songs made you angry. Did you welcome it?
We fought it, I have to admit. Oh, in fact, you don't want to mention his name, okay? I specifically remember arguing with him about some things. But in the end, I really didn't have any complaints in the end. So, but the process, there was definitely some conflict.
I enjoyed the structure of all the older Trouble, like the Psalm 9, the
More
Snow,
progressive, yeah.
and Run to the Light. And then after the Def Jam album, Trouble song structure was more modern. I don't want to use the word modern, but like conventional.
Yeah.
But I liked the longer songs, the way you put things together. Would you like to talk about that kind of development in Trouble?
Well, we sold 5 times what we sold. The Def record sold 5 times what the Metal Blade earlier record sold, and we felt like we kind of hit on a recipe that worked. And you know, I mean, nobody stays the same their whole career. You know, or I shouldn't say that. AC/DC pretty much has.
Some people do.
But we kind of grew. I mean, even though the first 3 records were all like you were talking, longer songs and progressive, all 3 of those first 3 records were not exact copies of each other, though. You know,
right.
And we progressed through our whole career, so that's the way we looked at it. You know.
And what was in your mind when you made that very long The Wish?
Sorry, Kyle. He's asking me all
No,
old.
I'm going to get to you in a second, sorry.
All right, so
I'm enjoying this too.
That was 2 songs, believe it or not.
Really?
And the imagination of Eric Wagner called one Death Wish 1 and the other one Death Wish 2. And we thought, yeah, it's not so good. How about we make it 1 song? And then he's like, yeah, and I'm going to call it The Wish, not Death Wish, because it's actually not wishing death, you know. So anyway, it was 2 songs, it became 1, and we will be playing that tomorrow.
And when Psalm 9, I remember when I bought it on cassette when I was in high school, it wasn't called Psalm 9.
Right.
But later on, when it was called Psalm 9, it was remastered. I thought it was actually remixed. That's how outstanding it was. And when I asked Eric about it, he goes, no, there's no way to remix it. No. And so I heard that the same guy was involved in the remasters on the Hammerheart records. Is that true?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Well, I remember buying the double CD that had the,
No.
as well as a DVD. It was on newtrouble.com. What was that all about? The newtrouble.com albums.
I don't know.
You don't know? I thought you had something to do with it. Like,
Well,
I thought it was like...
I'm just trying to remember. I don't pay attention to all that shit, you know.
All right, well...
I pay attention when I don't get money.
Are you talking about the re-releases?
Yeah, the re-releases that were newtrouble.com. It wasn't a record label. It was newtrouble.com.
Really?
No,
Before
those
Hammerheart?
were a scopy.
Really?
Yeah, those were a scopy.
I had no idea because...
Because we got the rights back, and we were doing some... We did the live DVD with them, and we ended up doing... Distortion Field with them, but they weren't called a scopy anymore, but it was the same guys. And so we had the rights to those records, and they re-released them, and they remastered them. So you may be right about whoever did the remaster. I'm not sure, though.
Well, Monty Connor from Roadrunner said it's the same guy.
Okay.
And I told the guy, like, you were a wizard, because it sounded remixed. Like, Psalm 9.
If Monty said it, it's true.
Okay. See, he's not even with our record label or any affiliation with the band, but
He's
he
just
knows
a fan. He
more
knows.
than I do.
He knows.
When I heard the Hammerheart remaster of the self-titled Trouble with the Misery Shows 2,
Yep.
that was outstanding too. Have
Yeah,
you
they
heard
did.
it?
Yes, they did a good job. Yep.
And the one I'm waiting for is a remaster of Run to the Light. What's going on with that?
Oh, it's out.
It's out?
Metal Blade. It's on Metal Blade.
Well, I know the original was on Metal Blade. The remaster? I thought it was going to be a Hammerheart.
Nope. That's the one record that we didn't have the rights to. Metal Blade still had the rights to, but they did remaster it, and we were involved with that, and it's out.
And could you tell me a little bit about how delicious it is compared to...
It's better, yeah. It's definitely better.
Okay. Now time for...
You can't polish a turd, though, you know? But
I don't think it's a turd.
Well, but it's better.
Where I come from in New Orleans, Run to the Light is a fan favorite. You ask the guys in Exhorter, Crowbar, I Hate God, everybody loves Run to the Light more than they do, and that's the truth.
Yeah, I remember when I met the new bass player when you played outside the Knitting Factory. I asked him about the remaster for Run to the Light at that time, because only Psalm 9 was remastered, and then like the Skull was in talks of remaster. Yeah. And I asked, what about Run to the Light? He goes, well, nobody wants to remaster. Everyone's already got that album. I'm like, I had Psalm 9. I want the remaster. I bought the remaster on NewTrouble.com and then on Hammerheart. I love everything, all versions.
Well, so that it took a while because they didn't want to give us money, Metal Blade, and we told them if you want us involved in this, signing a contract, and like input on it and giving you pictures and making it a nice new package, which happened. I said, you're gonna have to pay us some motherfucking money, man, because they're stingy, man. So they paid us some money and we did it.
There was a video for a song on Run to the Light, and it had the drummer of Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
The video guy that was shooting the video knew Bill Ward, and he said, hey, would you guys like Bill Ward to be part of the video? And we're like, hell yeah!
Sure. See, what was amazing to me is Trouble was the first band that I heard that had Sabbath-sounding guitar. Now, I'm not saying riffs. The guitar, the warm distortion.
Some of the riffs could be reminiscent too, but
and were you always that kind of a guitar player, like the very warm distortion?
Yes. So I told you this, I think, and I definitely told Rob tonight, even. In 1975, so I was already a Sabbath fan, but in 1975 I saw Black Sabbath on Don Kirshner's rock concert, and that was the heaviest guitar sound I ever heard, even way more than their records.
Sabotage?
It was that time,
Around
yeah.
that time.
But they played War Pigs and Killing Yourself to Live, and then they played Hole in the Sky from Sabotage. Anyway, it was so heavy, and I was like, that is what I want. That's exactly what I want. I never heard anything like that from anybody. That's how I want to sound. And so it was like 4 years later when we joined Trouble and we kind of concocted, and I would say it's a mix of that and Judas Priest, because we were big into Judas Priest at that time. But yeah.
But I don't think it was that common back then to play riffs that were so doomy and have
hell
doomy
no.
tempo.
No.
What started that? I think it preceded Candlemass.
Yes. Maybe the only one we didn't precede was Witchfinder General or Pentagram, but nobody knew who they were. They didn't have a record out or anything.
They went as Melancholy.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, but that's because I wanted to be Black Sabbath mixed with Judas Priest,
Fair enough. Okay, final question, and this is an old one that only some people might know. The very first Trouble song I heard was on a college radio station. It was The Last Judgment. I searched around for that, and I didn't know it was on Metal Massacre 4, and then again on the Best of Metal Massacre.
Oh.
And people get that on CD.
I didn't even know that.
And when I ran into your first drummer who was on, who played on The Last Judgment,
yeah.
He informed me that was recorded in a house on an 8-track. Could you talk about that?
Yes, it was. It was just a guy we had met who was like an audiophile, and he had recording equipment. And yeah, we recorded a demo with him. It was very primitive. And that's all we had. And Metal Blade had heard we had this live tape. So somebody recorded it with a cassette deck with 2 mics in the room, one of our live shows. and made like the old tape trading thing that went on in the 80s. It got in the underground, and all kinds of people were getting a hold of this tape. Brian Slagle got a hold of this tape. I'm leading up to what you asked. He got a hold of this tape, and he wanted to sign the band on the strength of that live tape. And so we didn't have any recording. He wanted a song for Metal Massacre. And so for Metal Massacre, they weren't paying anybody money to record. They wanted you to provide them a recording. So that's the best we could do. We recorded in the house with an 8-track, and there you go.
Man, I hunted a long time for that song. I love that song.
It's a heavy song.
Yeah. Well, getting to the singer, the new singer.
Does he feel left out? The new singer from 2012 and beyond.
I didn't want you to fall asleep. Like, don't you wish you could answer this question? When I interviewed Eric Wagner, he brought your name up, and he said that he found you to be respectful, and that you showed him courtesy, and he said he approves of you. I won't say anything negative about Porky or whatever.
I don't even know him, so it doesn't even matter.
But I thought it was nice that Eric gave his blessing of you.
I first met Eric, I want to say, the night we all jammed at the Big Green Warehouse in New Orleans after y'all played with Pantera. And I jammed with y'all, and we all jammed. And I met Eric that night, and he was kind and cool.
Yeah, so
and of course, when I'm around trouble, Eric's not. So he's one of the last of the originals that I got to know. So when I finally got to sit down and hang out with Eric, it wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 years after I joined the band officially. But when I did join the band, the day it was announced, he sent me a message on Facebook, and it said, "Hey buddy, just wanted to let you know that I'm happy for you, and I know how much you care about the band, and just make sure you have a good time, and just do us all proud, man. I'm rooting for you." And for me, that was huge, because here I am. I grew up listening to this band, and he's a fan.
He had that long before he was in the band.
Long, like easily 10, 15 years before I ever joined the band. But he was encouraging towards me, and he lifted me up. And this is a band that people are either going to accept that there's a new version, or they're going to be polarized in the opposite direction and go, "No Eric, no trouble." I heard that so many times. "No Eric, no trouble. No Eric, no trouble." Man, you know what? Whatever, I get it.
It's like Dio singing for Saturday.
I get it. I fucking get it. I'm a fan, so I get it. So, I don't want to fight with people over that. I just want to go out and pay tribute to a band I grew up listening to. Pay respect to their legacy and Eric's legacy. And for him to reach out to me unannounced and uninvited and say, "I'm with you, bro," that meant the world to me. And then when I hung out with him in person, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years after that, he invited me. First of all, he said, "Let's get a picture together." Took a picture. Pepper Keenan took the picture. And then he said, "Come on, let's go sit at the bar." And we sat at the bar and talked about anything that was not trouble. And that, to me, meant the world to me. He just wanted to meet me and hang out with me and, just be humans together. And we share a lot of common interests. Edgar Allan Poe, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, life in general as we philosophized on it. And maybe the philosophies were not that important. Maybe just having a drink and being, what do you like? What do you not like? What do you like to eat? It was that simple. It was not about trouble. And for me, that was the greatest Eric experience I could have ever had.
I was going to say that it was great that the replacement was someone who loved trouble.
I give a shit.
How could someone not love trouble?
I give a shit. I do. everything that I do with and for this band is for the band, and if I gain something out of it, great. But it's not about me. It's the bigger picture.
We talked earlier, and I'll just say this very quickly for the camera, that when Trouble played BB Kings with Eric, and Eric had like shoulder-length hair, so we wondered like if he had a corporate job, but that's not the question. It's just to remind you of the era when this happened.
I remember playing BB Kings.
But BB Kings, part of their merchandise were 2 CDs that my friend and I did not know were bootlegs, and they had songs like "Come Together." And when we went to Eric to sign them, he said, "What's this?" But he wasn't angry. And then,
It's a surprise.
instead of hearing me tell the tale of these rarities, because I did not know that Trouble covered "Come Together," could you talk about those songs and those bootlegs?
Well, I can tell you, so specifically Come Together was recorded during the Run to the Light sessions, and it was on Best of Metal Blade Volume 2, I think. So that's where that song came from, but some of that other stuff you're talking about was like demos and stuff, and maybe even live recordings, I can't remember. And it was some guy in South America, I think, that bootlegged, put all this stuff together and made a CD bootleg and was selling it. And then we found out about it, and Rick took care of that. I'm not going to tell you in detail how, but it took care of it. And the guy sent us all the CDs he had and said he won't make any more. And we sold those to another company who actually released it for real on vinyl and CD. And so that's how that all came about.
Okay, well, you were gracious enough to give me 10, 15 minutes. I think we went over that. As a finale,
Good question.
as a finale, could you talk about how it feels to have such an impact on people of all ages?
Well, I can tell you, so you maybe can expand on this too. But so the last few shows we played in Chicago, so here you get who you get. It's the people that sign up for the cruise, you get who you get. But like when it's your own show, then that's Trouble fans. And so the last 3 Trouble shows we've played in Chicago, there have been 20 and 30-year-olds, and I don't mean a couple, a lot.
Most of the audience is young.
And that has been like a great feeling, because we're not only drawing 50 and 60-year-olds that remember us from way back, and it's a dwindling audience, and
it is the hope for the future.
We've sold out the shows and see all these young kids, and that is like an awesome feeling, I have to say.
I remember Eric jokingly said that he's called Doom Pa.
I've heard that. That started after he left Trouble, but yeah, I heard that.
But would you say that I say you're an originator in Doom? What form Doom? How do you feel about the term Doom and how it applies to Trouble?
Well, we were certainly Doom the first 3 records. I don't think we're like just a Doom band anymore. We have some Doom and some other stuff, like groovy stuff and psychedelic stuff and metal stuff. So we're not just a Doom band, but our early career we were Doom, and we helped forge that sound. And you can ask Leif Edling from Candlemass, you can ask Gaz Jennings from Cathedral. These guys were influenced by Trouble. I mean, Black Sabbath influenced everybody. But those guys have both personally told me that we were a huge influence on each of their bands.
Well, Cathedral in particular said that the band came about as an argument, who's heavier, Trouble or Candlemass?
Okay.
You never heard that?
No.
As a fan, before I was ever a member, yes, he's correct. The earlier albums, truly Doom, but it evolved into more of a rock and roll thing with elements of heavy metal, this and that, for sure. But it's always an evolution, which means the band's growing. And major influence on Exhorder, major influence, like I said, on all of the New Orleans bands. When we play today, 9 times out of 10, you look in the front rows, and it's people that are in bands, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, so not every band can say what you have to say about yourselves, you know, and you're not braggarts. You don't sing your own song of success like other people hail you, and it is an honor to have talked to you.
Yeah, I only tell you that because those guys personally told me that.
They'll tell you. They will.
So good luck. I was gonna say that for newer Trouble, I detected like I use the word psychedelic, but it's not like hippie psychedelic. It's like older than Sabbath, but you know, more on the rock side than on the metal side.
Well, I mean, so I think we also were an influence on like the stoner rock bands.
Yes.
So, and that's like, you know, that early 70s heavy rock influence, you know, that's not always just the doom sound, but it's you know, yeah, rock and roll, really.
Beyond true.
Well, I'd like to ask a personal question. You and Rick, were you formally trained in guitar? Did you take lessons? Did you learn on your own?
I can tell you Rick did not. I took lessons for about 2 years from age 8.5 to 10.5. And my parents got divorced and my mom couldn't afford lessons anymore. So lessons turned into me putting records on and playing to them and doing this, let me hear that again. And I tell you, that was more of a teacher really than the lessons.
So your ear is very well trained.
I have to admit, and I say this is a God-given thing, so it's not me bragging about myself, but I was given a good ear.
And have you ever lost your voice playing live?
Yes. Yeah, as a singer, the most important things to a singer are rest and just not sharing a microphone, not sharing a drink, not sharing a fork. All of these things are so important, and once you get compromised in that capacity in any way and you get sick on the road, the only 2 things that can heal that are silence and rest. And who can do that when you've got 20 shows left? It's a terrible place to be. I've been there. I have sounded like a raped seal on tour, and I can't heal and I can't rest, and it's a terrible place to be. It is.
All right, well, it has been an honor. Would you like to tell people how they could find out more about you on their own, if they're not too lazy?
Well, of course, we're on Wikipedia. You have to type in Trouble Band, though, because the word trouble will get you a million things. You type in Trouble Band, you'll get the whole story on Wikipedia. It's about 90% correct. It's not 100%, but it's good enough.
And then what, newtrouble.com?
Yeah, we got our website.
Or Trouble Metal, is it? Which one is it?
Trouble Metal.
Trouble Metal.
And what else? Oh, the Facebook page.
Yeah, the socials. I think with the Instagram, we tried to get that going and not much luck there, but on
if you're
Facebook,
looking,
yeah.
you gotta probably type any of those things, Trouble Band, because the word trouble just brings up a million things.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.